Hurricane Delta is taking aim at the Gulf Coast. I'm Mike Nasel with this evening update on Hurricane Delta. You can see the Atlantic Basin. Delta has been the main feature over the last 2 days. It quickly developed into a dangerous Category 4 hurricane, weakened somewhat to a Category 2, made landfall, and caused a lot of problems on the Yucatan, and it's now back out over the southern Gulf of Mexico, poised to strengthen back into a major hurricane and make landfall along the Louisiana coastline within the next 48 to 60 hours as what is expected to be at least a Category 2 hurricane, a very powerful storm. Here's the latest as of 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern on Hurricane Delta. It was at 22.1 north, 89.5 west. Winds are down to 85 miles per hour, so it went from a Category 4 yesterday to a Category 1 today, but it did cross land in between as a Category 2, so it packed quite a wallop there, and it is forecast to strengthen back into a major hurricane by Friday morning, and is currently moving northwest at about 17 miles per hour. Again, that motion should continue through Thursday, but as it feels a developing trough in the central U.S., it will get picked up to the north and then accelerate, and by the weekend be here over the Tennessee Valley, maybe even the Ohio Valley by the time Sunday night rolls around, as a tropical depression by then obviously, but not before slamming into Laura-ravaged areas of Louisiana. Right now, I should note, the hurricane is about 55 miles north-northeast of Progreso, Mexico, and about 580 miles south-southeast of Cameron, Louisiana, or what's left of it after Laura made landfall there as a 150-mile-per-hour storm. We do have a hurricane warning in effect still for the north coast of the Yucatan, including the island of Cozumel. They got a fierce battering earlier this morning from this storm, and we have a hurricane watch from High Island, Texas, all the way over to Grand Isle, Louisiana, and that will eventually become a hurricane warning as Hurricane Delta approaches. There's the visible satellite imagery. It's starting to get a little dark out there, but you could clearly see the core is rebuilding itself. It's sputtering because obviously it went over land and that tapped it from its rich fuel source of hot ocean water. However, it has increased spatially in size. You could tell that there. And it does look to be strengthening. These thunderstorms are bubbling up here on the southern and northern edge of the eye. And we'll have the aircraft flying out there. In fact, we've got our NOAA aircraft. We have Gonzo, Miss Piggy, and Kermit. And earlier today, they had Gonzo flying out there. They had Miss Piggy about a day or two ago. But those guys that fly for the Air Force and NOAA, they're really zigzagging around the storm, putting in the tireless hours. And we appreciate everything they do. Again, the hurricane should eventually make a turn in that direction. And you can see here on the edge of your screen, we've got western Cuba here on the right side, and then the Texas-Mexico border there. It looks like it's not going to go to Texas, but you still need to keep a close eye on it. As far as strengthening, here's the shear map. What you see there, that circle, this here is an upper-level anticyclone. That is very favorable for development. If the eye of the hurricane were under this just south of Cuba, it would be strengthening at a rate even more crazy than what we saw yesterday. However, it is displaced to the right of the hurricane, and that is causing a little bit of shear, but not enough to really weaken it. It should be in a pretty good environment over the next 24 hours to re-intensify back to a Category 2 and then a 3 hurricane. Now, the main threat with Hurricane Delta is going to be the water, the storm surge. We saw that, obviously, in this whole area with Hurricane Laura. 17 feet of surge to the right of Cameron, Louisiana. With Hurricane Laura, it was devastating. And some of those areas still have not fully recovered by any stretch of the imagination. Looks like they're going to get hit again. 7 to 11 feet in Vermilion Bay. 7 to 11 feet down here near Marsh Island and Pecan Island. 4 to 7 feet off to the west here. And again, if you have winds offshore on this side, it wouldn't be as bad of a water pile-on. But again, on the right side here, you could have Vermilion Bay areas there near Grand Isle. You could have high water rises, 4, 6, 7, 11 feet. That's nothing to mess around with. And so all the evacuations that are going on, the hurricane warning plans that you're going to be taking action, everything you've prepared for every year for hurricane season, Boy, I'll tell you, if you're in Louisiana, you've put it to use this year big time. Mobile Bay, you could see 2 to 4 feet of water rises. And again, this is assuming right now that the hurricane makes landfall as a category 2 or 3. If it were to be a little bit weaker, hopefully these would be lower. But if it gets stronger again, they might go even higher than that. And we don't want it to get too large spatially because that could exacerbate the areas of surge. You can see this graphic here. This shows greater than 9 feet above ground level of inundation. And look at how far inland we go. Remember, this is what we dealt with Laura. Remember Lake Charles? They got a direct hit. Now, that was a Category 4 hurricane. This is expected to be a 2 or a 3. Still a dangerous storm. But you can see areas here of Morgan City, Lafayette. We could have water rises almost all the way into those areas. So if you're in a low-lying location, you guys might want to think about getting out of Dodge. Listen to your local officials, and they will tell you what to do as Hurricane Delta approaches. The key messages as of 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern. Number 1, wind and water levels along the North Yucatan Peninsula will subside this evening. The hurricane's moving away, but heavy rainfall could cause significant flash flooding, and that's going to affect the Yucatan through early Thursday. Number 2, Delta is expected to grow in size spatially as it approaches the North Gulf Coast and become a larger hurricane, and that will be where dangerous, life-threatening storm surge, dangerous hurricane winds will be likely starting Friday, particularly for portions of the Louisiana coast, and those storm surge and hurricane watchings are in effect. And remember, again, it's not just for Louisiana. If you're to the right of there, if you're in Mississippi, Alabama, you guys need to keep a close eye on this. Number 3, flash urban, small stream, and minor isolated moderate river flooding, likely Friday and Saturday from the Central Gulf all the way into the lower and middle Mississippi Valley, and then as Delta moves further inland, heavy rainfall expected through Ohio Valley and Mid-Atlantic this weekend. Again, we're going to see a powerful hurricane moving on up. You can see the satellite there, a very ominous look, as we will have the hurricane continue to plow, leaving the Yucatan on a track somewhere like that, right into the Louisiana coastline. And so all preparations to protect life and property should be starting to be rushed to completion. You guys still have a day or two, but you don't want to wait too long. I'm Mike Naso. I'll be back with frequent updates on Dangerous Delta.